Hello and welcome once again to the Real Talk with Tanya White show. I'm your host, Tanya White, and today we have a best-selling author on with us who is talking about dreams. Dreams for him, dreams for her. She is the dream messenger. I'm going to call her the dream messenger, Miss Melissa Banks, all the way from Jackson, Mississippi. Welcome to the show, Miss Melissa.
Thank you, Tanya. Excited to be here for the first time.
Yes. Now tell us who Miss Melissa Banks is before we get into these books of yours.
Melissa Banks is a award-winning master event planner, best-selling author, media personality, and speaker.
Okay. Now, how did you get into media, writing books, being a speaker? We all know once you do one, all the others go together. But how did you get into it?
Well, you know what started it was the pandemic, actually. I've been an event planner for 25 years. In-person events was my thing. It was my full business at that time. And we know what happened March 2020.
Yes.
All of that had to go away for a moment. And then I had to regroup. I had to figure out what's my next step. And that's where being willing to go forward, being willing to step in areas that wasn't comfortable, because none of what I just said was on my radar just a few years ago. But because I was willing to let some things go for a while, learn some new things, and all the other stuff came out. So all of that came because it was time to change because of the change in the world.
Yes, the pandemic. A few of my guests recently have, when I talk about how did they got into, how did they launch into what they were in now, most of them said the pandemic. So one of the things that the pandemic was scary. We didn't know what to do, but it birthed new things. Like we have DoorDash, we have Instacart, everything, just a lot of new ideas that people never thought of before the pandemic. But when the pandemic ends, now we have new things that we never thought of. And it sounds like you have personally experienced launches of new things that you never thought of. So if the pandemic never happened, you would still be doing that event planning and doing it with fabulousness, right?
Absolutely. Because what happened with the pandemic is though the event planning had to pause for a while, it didn't have to go away. And I was introduced to virtual events. I had never even been on Zoom at that point. I didn't like it. I didn't want to learn it. I didn't want anything to do with it. But then that happened and I had to figure out what's my next step. So it began with taking those in-person experiences and bringing them virtually. And I had never heard of such a thing. It was quite a learning experience. But that experience opened up so many doors. So yes, you're right. There are so many great things. There was, of course, the pandemic was horrible, but there were some good things that came out of it because God has the full plan. We don't see the full plan. We just see the little bit of it. And so God had the full plan, and the plan was author. Author was not on my list. Speaker was not on my list. Media personality was not on my list. My list was event planning.
And when you sit back and reflect, even in your event planning, you are a speaker because you had to speak to people and get them to buy into your services. And so that's what speaking does. You get people to buy into your message. And so what you just did, God had you shift that. And voila, you have how many books now, Miss Melissa?
I have four books now.
4. Let's start with the first one. What's the title of the first book that you released?
My very first book is this book right here.
And what is it called?
Dream by Design, the devotional. And this book came out of a conversation I was having with my coach. We know him, Cyrus Webb. And I had these boxes. And I said, I'm buying devotionals to put in these boxes. I would just love to have my own devotional in there. And of course, the encourager he said, then do it. And a few weeks later, my very first book was out. But since then, God has moved in so many ways. And I have all these books out with my name on the front of it. It just doesn't get old. It was not on the radar for me, but of course, God can dream for me bigger than I can dream for myself. And it was definitely on the radar for him. So I officially am an author.
Officially an author and
officially an author.
four times over. Four
That's
times
right.
over. You're an
Well,
author.
actually five, but
Oh
yes.
well, five.
Mhm.
Okay. So dream. How did you come with the concept? Let my message be about dreaming.
Oh, I love this question because when I started my entrepreneur journey over 25 years ago, I was just on my way to work one morning and God spoke to me that morning. And I know people say God spoke to you, right? But He did deep in my spirit. And I heard it very clearly that I would own my own business. Now, at that time, I had not dreamed of owning my own business. I didn't know people who looked like me personally that own their own businesses. But that's what He said. Well, a few weeks down the road, I lost my job, my
Mm.
business. The business I was working for downsized their business. They closed up all the offices. And in one day, they laid off 3,500 people. And
Woo.
as I sat in my car in tears, I went back to that morning when I heard that voice, and that was the moment my dream was placed in me. From that day to this one, it's changed. Things have added, things have taken away. It's been great. It's been not so great at times, but it's always been there. But I believe that everything starts with the dream. No matter
Yes.
what you're doing, it starts with a dream. And that dream was placed in me that day. And no matter how those days I screamed, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore." That dream is in there and it's in there to stay. And so all of my everything I do, my mission, my passions, everything starts with a dream.
Everything starts with a dream. I hope you caught that nugget of wisdom that everything starts with a dream. A dream. And then after it started with a dream, it was probably boiling up inside of you. You had to do some action. You had to put it in action. So how did you take your dream from just a dream into it becoming reality? Because I
Well,
think that's where people get paralyzed.
I agree with you because you know what? It starts with a dream. So
Mm-hmm.
if you leave it in a dream, nothing else happens, right? So for me, because I was pushed, because that day that I got that phone call that I no longer had a job, I was a single parent.
Mm.
I was scared to death, had no idea what I was going to do. But as I sat in my car before even driving off the parking lot, I went back to that moment that said I would own my own business.
Yes.
I still didn't quite know what that meant or what that looked like. So after a few days of crying, I
Yes.
decided what is it that I love to do. And at that time, I loved to decorate. I
Mm.
decorated for everybody, family, church folk, for free, of course. It wasn't a
Yep.
business, but it became my business.
Yes.
And I started right there where I was, which is the key. It goes back to what you just said. I started right there with no money, had never had a business before, didn't have anybody to call and ask how to do stuff. I had to learn it and had to be willing to work really hard. I had to be willing to stage events for free. I had to be
Mm.
willing to just start. And I
Just
just that's my message. Once you just start, who knows what can happen, right? You
yeah.
know what's going to happen if you don't ever start. But
Yeah.
if you start, if you just start and you start where you are with what you have, and that's what I had to do.
So if you're just joining Real Talk with Tanya White, we're talking with author, speaker, event planner, everything. I'm gonna just call her the dreamcaster and people birther, launcher. Miss Melissa Banks from Jackson, Mississippi, and she just gave two very $1 million nuggets of wisdom. She said it starts with a dream, and then you got to turn into so that dream become reality. You got to start where you are. Start building. Start showcasing. I heard you say. Start
Mhm.
uh highlighting your talents and what you can do. Start, even if you have to start for free. Some people are going to realize, okay, listen, she is, because if you see her background, we know that she's got the pizzazz for decorating and making things beautiful and the ambiance and setting. So you just took what you had, the dream that you had in you, what you were always doing, and you started. You started where you were. You said you didn't have any money. You started doing what you had already been doing, but now you were turning it into a business.
Mhm.
After you were starting where you are, started with a dream, then you start moving. We all know, because I started where I was, it began with a dream. Then you have to start streamlining, Miss Melissa, taking it, well, okay, now I'm doing it for free. Now this is my business. Now I have to, elevate
Mhm.
and start, offering services for a price. How was that for you? to learn that aspect of this is my business from where this is my dream to my business?
You know, that's a great question, Tanya, because that's the hardest part for most people starting. How do I price? And how
Yes.
do I move beyond the people that I was doing it for free? Because how many of you know those people you were doing it for free are not your clients when you're charging?
Didn't understand that. Say that, Miss Melissa, again. Say that again.
So those people that I had been doing it for free, when I started charging, they were cheerers, but they
Yeah.
were not my customer any longer. So you have
Message. Miss Melissa just gave us a message. They are your cheerers, not your clients. Okay? Know the difference. That's good nugget of wisdom right there. Because that is hard
it's hard.
to distinguish and accept.
Mm-hmm.
Accepting is harder than recognizing and distinguishing that those who you did it for free for, they'll cheer you on. They'll pass the message, but they're not your paying clients. Know the difference. So when you knew that and you said, okay, now I've got to get paying clients, which is another scary step, isn't it, Melissa?
Absolutely, absolutely. My first year in business, I had 3 events the entire year. I'll tell you, and I made no money. I made no money because I was scared to price. Pricing is scary. So you want to get that yes. So you want to price it where you get that yes. So I made no money. But what I learned in the process and continue to learn is you have to connect with people who know how to do it so that they can teach you how to do it. I had to learn that the hard way. I had to take my time and get there. Even today, 25 years later, I still have to learn from people who've already done it, who already know how to do it, because pricing never gets easy. It is always difficult. And especially when you really want to get that yes, this is somebody you really want to work with, and then you kind of hesitate on your pricing. You have to get the training. Back when I started, training wasn't as accessible as it is now.
Yes.
You know, I'm old school, telling my age now, but we had to really dig around and find information and learn the hard way, trial and error. That's how it started. But you stick with it and you learn better and you do better, as they used to say back in the day, learn better, do better. That's what you do with pricing. But once you get comfortable with pricing, then you can understand how it do it, how it changes your business, and how it makes your business a business and not a hobby.
Yeah. She's dropping nuggets. Miss Melissa Banks is dropping nuggets, and y'all better be catching them. Now, you said how to make your business a business and not a hobby, because if you're not making money and you doing your tax returns, they're gonna say you got about a limited more years before you can claim this stuff as a business because you ain't making money. Now, Miss Melissa, especially for women, you said you're trying to get that yes. Pricing isn't easy, but how did you stand flat-footed when you said this is my price? You learned what you were worth, learned what you had to offer, but you were still, someone's like, you got to get a yes, you got to get a yes. How did you stand flat-footed on this is my price, and I know it's negotiation, but this is my price and I can't undercut myself? What was that moment like?
Well, you know, that moment is still not easy. 25
Mm-hmm.
years later, that moment is still not easy, because if you have a client in front of you and this client, you really want to be the chance to do that event. Let's just say it's an event and you really want it. And they give you this budget that you already know when it comes out of their mouth that you are not going to be able to give your best work with that budget. What I've learned in this process is when I book for something less than I can give my best work, I still got to give my best work. So what does that mean? That means I'm helping them pay for their event. And when I got to the place that in my head I understood that the yes is not a yes if I have to help you pay for the event, or if I have that way, it's not a business. So even though it feels uncomfortable, even today when I price and I know they gave me this budget, but the real price is this, I still have to stand firm on that price, because I just broke it down to you. When I put that language in my head, I understand I have to price based on what I want to deliver.
Yes.
And if you
Woo.
deliver less than that, that's what the world will see. And one of the hardest things is to keep underpricing yourself and then finally realize you're underpricing. You know how hard it is to now start
Yep.
pricing what you should have been pricing. It's a very hard cycle. So the sooner you learn that, the better you're going to be.
Oh my goodness. Listen, entrepreneurs, pricing, Miss Melissa said it's not easy. It's never easy, especially after, because you have to revise your prices,
Mhm.
especially after you've been and you've gotten some, things under your belt and people know you. It's just like any economic thing, supply and demand. And so when you know that you are delivering Tiffany's quality and you price yourself at Walmart, even though you may say you Tiffany's, right, Miss Melissa? You got a Walmart price. So everybody loves Walmart. Everybody loves Tiffany's. But people who go to Tiffany's can afford it, right? Tiffany's loves everybody, right, Miss Melissa?
Right, that's right.
Even the ones who can't afford it, but they're not saying, oh, let's bring our prices down so everybody can experience us. No, it's about the experience. And that's what I heard you. When you get with Miss Melissa Banks, you're going to have an experience that's worth investing in your price. Is that what I heard you say, Miss Melissa?
That's right. And whatever experience you get, it's the experience that people will know you from. So I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be known as the person who creates experiences. When people walk away, they remember those times, remember those moments that recreated, and their guests keep talking about it years later. Have you ever gone to an event years down the road, something reminds you of something that happened at that event? That's
Absolutely.
because their planning went into that, and the experiences is the experiences that you remember, and that's what we always have been about since I started.
Always, always. Now let's get to these dream journals for her and him. Tell us about the dream journal for her.
Okay, so the dream journal began because I went through a really tough season in my life, and one of the things that helped me during that season was journaling. I still
Mm,
have some of those journals 20 years ago, 25 years ago, that I wrote entries in. And sometimes I can pick up that book and it encourages me today, or it helps me see, listen, today might not be a good day, but look how far you came. Or
mhm.
I wrote down a dream that I had and I put it in there and it happens. And it's just so encouraging for your healing process. That's what I wanted my clients to experience. We just
Yeah.
talked about experiences, and that's where the dream journal came as part of the dream box. It creates an
Mm,
experience for the person who receives that box or gives that box. Inside that box, it has this beautiful journal, and you can just sit down. It has a candle, light your candle. It has a special pen, not just any pen, but a special pen that you're going to write with. Remember, it's an experience. And you
mhm,
sit
mhm.
down and you just write your thoughts. Some of your thoughts you write in here, you'll never share with anybody publicly, but they're your thoughts. 3 weeks from now, 3 years from now, you can go back to this journal and have that experience. What was I feeling at that moment? And that's what the dream journal has been all about.
Mhm.
What brought the dream for him journal is
Mhm.
my audience is predominantly women. I encourage,
Yes.
my passion, my gift is to encourage and inspire women. So most of my audience has been women until the last few years, and I've been getting attention from more men, and men have dreams, visions, and goals as
Yes.
well. They go through rough cycles as well. And someone, when this one came out, I had someone ask me, "Well, what about the men? Do you have a candle with the men fragrance? Do you have?" And that inspired not only the candle, but creating the experience for men. And that's where the dream journal for him, and that experience was created for them as well.
Wow. So dream journal for her and him. Now you mentioned that you got candles. Let's talk about that, Miss Melissa. So you have a candle line?
I do. Actually, we have one for women called the Sweet Dream Candle Line. We have 2 fragrances available in that. And when you get your dream box, you get one in there, or you can go to our website and order the candle by itself. And we have candles for him. We have 3 candles with 3 different scents that were created with for him. When I talked to my candle creator, I said, this is what I want it to smell like, because when someone reached out and said, "Well, are your candles for men too?" At that time, they were just for women. I hadn't even thought of that,
Yeah.
and I thought, let's do that. So yes, on our website you'll find both the Drink for Him candles as well as the Sweet Dream candles.
All right. Speaking of website, let's go ahead and give the people your website. Where can they pick up the journals, the books, and the candles?
Oh wow, this conversation has been so great, Tanya. I just love it, love it, love it. So much energy. Actually, you can go to themelissabanks.com. And when you go to themelissabanks.com, you're going to get our website. You're going to see where you can get the dream box. You're going to see where you can get the candles. You will even be able to listen to our podcast, some of the women who share their journeys with us. And you can go to our event planning platform. All right there. All the links are right there at themelissabanks.com.
Themelissabanks.com. So I hear what you said. You turn your dream into reality. First of all, after being let go, and then you had to start this business, and the pandemic came, and then you start the books, and now you have candles. Now, were the candles a part of when you first started with the dream box? Tell us what's in the dream box. Let's go back to that.
So the dream box started about 6 years ago, and inside the box is a journal, it's a candle, it's a special pen, queen head pen to write with, and it's some sweet treats all included in the box, as well as a necklace. The necklace is an inspiration necklace that says "Dream by Design." It encourages you to create your own dream and then go for it. That's all in the box. The box arrived. It's a bright pink box, and it's an experience when you start taking everything out. That's what the Dream for Her box includes.
Okay.
The Dream for Him box has a candle in it as well. It has the journal in it as well, but it has a rechargeable lighter you can light your candle with, and it has a special gold pen because I believe it matters what you write with. And in his box, we even give him a glass so that he can have something to drink while he's sitting and writing in his journal and creating his experience.
Miss Melissa, so this has taken deep thought. First of all, dream. You just said, I don't just want you to dream. I'm going to give you an experience to dream. Let me create a dream box. And in this dream box, you're going to have a journal, which we're going to talk about the power of journaling in just a few minutes. And I'm going to give you a special pen. I'm a pen person. I'm old school. Even to this day, Miss Melissa, I've always been a writer, and I like writing on paper, notebook paper. And when I write a book, I have to find the pen for that book. It has to be, like you said, a special pen.
That's right.
And then you got the candles. Where did this idea come from? Let me just put an experience of dreams in a box.
Well, that's a good question. It just, because I believe in everything being an experience.
Yes,
I do. And I wanted to see, how can I make writing down in my journal, because I journaled and it was so special. But when I journaled, that's what I did. I had a candle burning when I journaled, even in the dark season, and especially now. Everything can be a thing. Sometimes we think it has to be something big and elaborate to treat ourselves or to give ourselves an experience. But I wanted to make it easy for women. I wanted you to just receive that pink box in the mail. You talked about Tiffany earlier. Tiffany has that blue box that you don't have to say nothing when that blue box comes, because it's something special in that box. That's what I wanted for anyone who received the dream box. When they see that bright pink box show up at their door, they know they got something coming and a special experience there. And when you make it an experience, it becomes part of your heart, right? It becomes part of who you are. You didn't just pick up a tablet and write down your thoughts. It was really a time you set aside for you to take care of you. And that's what the experience is all about.
Wow. So I hope y'all caught that nugget of wisdom. Miss Melissa said, what you did is gave everybody a part of you, what helped you when you journal, what experience you had, and you thought, this is so great that let me teach other people how to dream, but not only dream, but set the atmosphere for while you're writing down your dreams, which I think is so important, because like I said, I'm a writer, and when it comes to writing, my atmosphere has to be conducive to me for writing. Like I said, special pen, I go and like I'm window shopping for pens, doing, trying to like which one. But I think that it's so great that you took a part of you, what you were always doing for yourself, and said, let me share this part of me with others. and then not only share with others, I'm gonna make it experience because as women, we all like gifts.
Mhm.
We like a box, whether it's pink, blue, or whatever. And then opening that box is experience. And then you listen to your audience. I heard you say that when men said, "Hey, you got something for men?" So Miss Melissa has given us nuggets of wisdom. She said it all starts with a dream.
Mhm.
I'm recapping what you said. Start where you are, connect with people who know what they're doing, and understand that pricing is not ever going to be easy, but you have to price yourself for what you worth. And then when you're creating new endeavors, just make it simple. You said it's not that hard. Just create from what you're already doing, which came the dream journal. You said you're journaling. Now that's what I want to talk about for the next 2 minutes. Miss Melissa, our time is going. We only got about 4 minutes. This has been great. Um, Journaling. I'm a journaler. You're a journaler. Explain why journaling is so powerful.
Oh my gosh. When I mentioned earlier that I was in a dark season when I started journaling. In that
Mhm.
season, my life was not pleasant. In fact, every single day was very tough. I couldn't voice out loud how I felt on the inside. And I picked up a journal and I started writing how I was really feeling because I had to monitor what I said because
Yes.
if I didn't say the right thing at the right time, it was not a good situation. So, but when I was writing in that journal, I could say my thoughts. I could say how I'm feeling. I could say what I wanted out of life, what my dreams were. I could say that confidently because it was just me and that journal.
Mhm. In a
And that's
journal.
why I attribute so much of my healing through that process to journaling because journaling was my voice for a very
Mm.
long time. And I
Mm.
can pick them up right now and they can speak that those words I wrote in there can speak to me. I can see when it was a difficult time more
Mm.
so than others. My writing was not even the same throughout the journals because of what was happening. I could see when it was getting better. I was still journaling, but it was getting better. I can see nights that all I could write was today was a hard day.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
today, those words encourages me. I would
Mhm.
suggest to anyone, you can always be that voice on your paper. You don't have to say it
Mm.
to anybody else. You can say it to there and it can heal you and it will help you.
Oh my goodness. I'm writing that down. You can always be the voice on your paper. Because that's what I was going to say. When you were speaking, I just heard the word writing and journaling is freeing, it's liberation.
Yes, yes,
Um, because sometimes you're right, we can't speak it verbally, but we sure can write it down. And the same freedom you get sometimes from verbalizing things, you can get from journaling.
absolutely.
Oh, Miss Melissa, our time has run out. You have been marvelous, magnificent. We have gained nuggets of wisdom from you. It all starts with a dream, you all. And then once it starts with a dream, you got to start turning that dream into reality. So start where you are. Miss Melissa, where can people find you on social media? Connect, social media, you talking about you old school, I'm old school too. I remember when there was no social media.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
had you had to physically go to meet people, but now we're in a different time. What is how can people connect with you on social media?
On social media, I'm on Facebook. I'm the Melissa Banks. On Instagram, I'm the Melissa Banks as well. And you can go to that link I gave you earlier, themelissabanks.com. It has it right there. Just click the link and it'll take you right to it.
So what's next for the Melissa Banks? Is there any dream events coming up in for the rest of the year or next year? What can we expect?
Well, we're doing Dream Party Live. Dream Party Live is when we get together and we share our jewelry line, which is the Pearl Jewelry line. We have Dream Party Live coming up this week, actually, and we're celebrating my birthday. It's live right there on Facebook. I'm turning 65, so we're having a birthday party for me
That's
on
right.
Dream Party Live. So
On
if
Dream
you're a
Party
caller,
Live.
you
Well,
Dream Party
happy birthday, Miss Melissa Banks, 65. You don't look it. Listen,
Live.
that's a life well lived. Let me tell
Thank
you.
you so much. And
Uh,
also, let me mention our new season of Dream by Design with Melissa Banks starts up at the end of this month. So look out for that. All those links are right there. When you go there, you'll see the links at themelissabanks.com.
at themelissabanks.com. Like I said, thank you, Miss Melissa Banks. Thank you for not only having a dream, but putting your dream into action and sharing your dream experience that you had in your own life with others so they can experience uh, all their dreams coming true. You have been wonderful. We're definitely gonna have you back because I know you have lots more. Like I have like notes right here. If you saw me doing like this, because I'm a note taker. But we're gonna come. I'm definitely gonna have you back talking about being a woman in business and there's so many things as women we write down in that journal, but it takes us a while to
Mhm.
turn that dream, especially when it comes to launching a business. I would definitely want to have you back and talk to the women, and maybe we can take some live questions when we have you back for that. But thank you so much. You've been wonderful. You're beautiful. You have energy. That's why I can have the energy. Real Talk with Tanya White audience. Share this, re-listen to this, connect with the Melissa Banks, and remember, before you do anything in your life, love yourself, live your life, and spread laughter everywhere you go. Until next time, you guys, we'll see ya later.